about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
Back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So one of you have asked, because you know I've been watching the show The Pitt, and I like The Pitt, what I thought about the politics in it. And I guess there's an ICE raid. I haven't gotten to that part. All right, so no spoilers because I haven't gotten to that part yet. I'm on season 2, but I think I'm on episode 5 or 6, so I'm not there yet. But apparently there was, I guess in one of the episodes, one of the patients was trying to flee ICE and got hurt. And then in another, I guess ICE decides to go and arrest one of the characters. And I don't want to do spoilers alert, but that's what's been hitting the news. So apparently the show dropped. I just haven't gotten there yet. And so now there's, you know, I, as a physician, mind you, I don't work in every hospital and I'm not in the hospital like I used to be. But I have not heard of where this is a widespread thing, where a hospital is trying to deal with emergencies and then ICE decides to retain, or decides to raid and detain doctors and nurses and staff that are legal U.S. citizens. I haven't heard of that. Now, have there been illegal immigrants or people who might have violated their court hearings? Maybe. But I do not hear from the medical community that ICE is in there all the time picking random Americans and killing them. That's not, this is what the liberal media is trying to push. That's what happened. So here we have The Pitt, which I have spoken about because I like The Pitt. I like The Pitt because of a lot of its accuracy. But now they're going there. Really? Okay, the reason why The Pitt is, you know, probably one of the best medical shows currently on the air is because of the accuracy of what's happening with residents and doctors and fatigue and burnout and all that. If you're going to now try to exaggerate making a statement about ICE, okay, you lost me then. Now I'll finish out the season, but come on. Don't be touting yourself as a, you know, realistic show. I mean, that's just, even Scrubs. I don't think with the new Scrubs season, they're going to try, I hope not, and have an ICE raid in the hospital. Is that what all these movies are now doing? Where it's all about ICE? That movie that won the Oscar, One Battle After Another. I guess that's what it was implying. People are getting raided and killed. Americans that just and you know, it's I don't like the false narratives. I mean, it's and what happened in Minneapolis shouldn't have happened. And I really blame the city because you got to keep protesters out of the faces of these agents. Bad things are going to happen, especially when they're always, you know, when they're you know, looking like they're about to hit one with their minivan and all that. I mean, it's just it's a bad situation. Keep the protesters away, protesting in a safe area, and keep them away from any firefighter, cop, ICE agent, FBI agent, first responder. You got to keep the public away. That's on the city, and the city should get sued for what happened. But you know, the average hospital makes you do background checks. You know, one of the reasons why we don't see hospitals raided because of ICE, I mean, I'm talking in terms of the doctors and the staff, is because you have to do background checks. Every time I had to get privileges in a hospital, they asked if I was a U.S. citizen. They asked if I had a visa, what was my ability to work. I did a background check. You had to be fingerprinted. You had to do drug testing. Why? Because you're there for patients. They need to know that the patients are safe. And they need to know that you have a background where they could evaluate to see if you had any assaults or charges or anything like that. That's why they do background checks. I always get say, look, if you want this job, they're going to do a background check. That's fine, absolutely. When I renew my licenses, they always do a background check. I mean, that's what they do, which is totally fine. I get that because somebody's responsible for you taking care of patients. And so I find it very unlikely that somebody who is an illegal immigrant has been a long-time staff member or ER nurse in a hospital. Because how do they pass their background check? How do they pass it just doesn't make sense. And somebody in the healthcare profession who has all these deadlines as it pertains to your boards, your licensing requirements, are going to probably also show up to their court date. So if you did come here illegally and Biden said, look, we're going to let you in, but we have a court date, the average person in the healthcare profession is going to then keep that court date so that they could become a citizen. I mean, why? Because you want to live there and you want to. So none of that is really making a lot of sense. And so I can't comment too much because I haven't gotten to that episode. But from the clips I'm seeing, I'm like, really? They had to go there too. It's everything has to infuse politics. And it's frightening. I heard that when it comes to Disney and shows or movies being pitched, unless boxes are checked as it pertains to DEI and politics, they're not going to look at the project. And I understand that when Biden was in power, there was this sense of, if you didn't do it, if you weren't woke, you'd lose your job. But it's ruining the entertainment industry. It just is. 1-877 Doc Dolly.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Let's face it, guys. We're living in times where the truth is becoming more suppressed and censorship is increasing at an alarming rate, especially on social media platforms. It's Clyde, and I want to tell you about a safe and secure digital playground we put together just for you. It's aftermath.media. You get access to thousands of Ground Zero archives and podcasts, along with our private social media groups with your basic membership starting at only $7 a month. Each subscription includes tech support, access to the RSS feeds, along with our own chat room and Telegram channel. In addition, the premium membership includes research study groups, webinars, a document and movie library, a live video stream of Ground Zero, a monthly Zoom chat with me, and other bonus content. Be sure to check out our yearly specials as well. Sign up today while you're thinking about it. Sign up at aftermath.media. Again, that's aftermath.media.
back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dahlia, Facebook, The Dr. Dahlia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So one of the cases that the Supreme Court is looking at is whether mail-in ballots can be postmarked the day of election day, come in 5 days later, and still be counted. And can the election, like I think one of the elections, remember we didn't have a final until December. Yeah, I mean, it was that was, I think, the 2020 election, where it wasn't until deep into December that we finally knew who was going to be the next president based on the ballots. And so the Supreme Court is looking at this case coming out of Mississippi. If election day means election day, or are mail-in ballots allowed to be trickling in, based on postmark and postal services issues after the fact, and still be counted. And it's looking like the Supreme Court is leaning towards what the Constitution says, and, where election day is election day, where you have Labor Day, Memorial Day, Veterans Day, Election Day. This is where I stand with it, okay? I'm American, all right? And so I'm not a registered Democrat. I'm not a registered Republican. I'm American. And one thing that I am very pro is the protection of democracy and people feeling that our elections are safe and are done with integrity. And so it really bothered me when there was this fear that something happened during the 2020 election. And that fear wasn't unfounded because there was ballots coming in later and people saying there were boxes of ballots. We had never tried mail-in ballots before. Mail-in ballots were always about a small number to those individuals who are overseas or can't make it. And so it was never something that could be a venue for widespread fraud, et cetera. And for me personally, I was at KDON or KXNT announcing results. And during the 2020 election, and I'm not saying this meant there was fraud, but I don't want there ever to be the question of it. And what was really, really odd is you saw a lot of the early numbers go towards one side. And then we heard that in Pennsylvania, everybody's going to bed. So we won't have Pennsylvania results. I'm like, they're going to bed. Usually with election night, they count them until nobody goes to bed. You mean there's gonna be nobody watching? People are in the hospitals. Nobody goes to bed. You have another shift. That was just odd. And the more you had, then you saw people with videos of ballot boxes going, guys, it's November 5th or November 6th. It's after the date. Or November 8th. I forget what date it was. Why are you guys now addressing the mail-in ballots? Why was the election called? I mean, you saw all these videos. Here's my thing. Whether people believe them or not, the sense that there could have been something going wrong, that's where we as Americans failed. Well, the way elections used to be done is you would go in and vote. And none of this screen where other people could see you voting, because I got to tell you, there were no barriers this time around. I mean, it was like anybody could see who I was voting for, whatever. But I mean, you would go in, there would be a curtain. I remember seeing my parents' feet. I also wonder if they did a little nookie, in there, but I could see their feet because I had to stand outside while they voted. And then they went and voted and they left. And it was one vote per person. And it was, that's how other countries do it. And then we opened it up to mail-in ballots, and not where you have to sign up for a mail-in ballot and register for one and then that's your ballot, which then blocks you from going to the polls. It's, guys, here's your mail-in ballots in the mail. And my family only got 2 of ours. So where's our other 2? So for me, I don't care if it's for a Republican or a Democrat who wins. I don't want there to be any question about it. You used to vote on election day. You put the vote in on election day. They had an alternative option for people in nursing homes or people overseas. And those ballots were a handful per precinct, but it still allowed everybody to get their vote in. Those had to be in by a certain day. I mean, we all knew when election day was, so we could plan for it like Christmas. We all know when Christmas is, so we could all plan months in advance. It's no surprise. So you'd get your mail-in ballot. I mean, and then it decreased the discussion of, well, somebody cheated or the election was stolen, or because that's not a popular thought. Even if people thought that the Democrats stole the election, nobody wanted to talk. Nobody wanted to have that as the discussion, because once America loses their election integrity, we're not America anymore. So how do we go back and get that reputation back of no one's screwing around with our votes? When you go in to vote and you're voting in that booth, that vote is getting counted. You know, how do you go back to that? Well, one is we need to stop mass mailing mail-in ballots. That's just absolutely ridiculous. Number 2 is if there are individuals who are disabled or overseas that do want to submit one, they apply for it. This way, it prevents them from also voting twice or somebody else voting for them. Like my friend's kid tries to go and vote, and somebody said, no, you voted already in Colorado. He's like, I've never been to Colorado. What? I'm here to vote now. They go, sorry, you voted already. He's like, I've never been there. So it eliminates that, where that mail-in ballot is your mail-in ballot. And if you don't get one, you call, just like a credit card. They cancel the credit. When you don't get your credit card, they cancel it and give you a new one. Same thing with the mail-in ballot. Then that mail-in ballot is void. You get a new one. And it's only to the thousands who need it, not the millions. And your mail-in ballot has to be submitted by a certain day, because election day is election day. And so they're saying, yeah, the Supreme Court looks like they're going to probably go that way. And if they do, I agree with that. Because we have the 2028 election or the 2026 midterms. We know the date. You could start as soon as the primaries are over. If you're really worried about somebody not getting their mail-in ballot in time for the election, then you could send them in July after after all the primaries are over. I mean, we could plan it. We know the date. It just, I don't want this, well, the election was stolen. The election was stolen. Somebody cheated. And I also don't want cheating. I mean, those videos were pretty disturbing. If they were real, oh, that's disgusting. But again, it's mail-in ballots. I told you a couple years ago in a Baltimore U.S. post office, there were a bunch of 2020 ballots sitting there. And it was like 2023 when they were found. That's not how elections are to be done. And I think Democrats and Republicans want to ensure that there's no cheating. Because if one side could cheat, the other side could cheat. And if it's as simple as, didn't we see somebody just throw tons of ballots into one of the boxes? Now, maybe they were a good Samaritan and decided to go all over the neighborhood and grab all the different ones for people. And maybe it was all legit. But my issue as an American is I don't want there to be any question. There shouldn't be any question. And fascinatingly, when Trump won in 2024, it was the night of the election. And you didn't hear the election was stolen. The election was stolen. Because there wasn't this, well, the ballot counters are going to sleep. We're not going to know until some of the California. Now, in California, There were some Congress people leading, and then 3-4 weeks later, it flipped, and they claimed it was because of mail-in ballots, and maybe it was that, ironically or coincidentally, the late mail-in ballots were all Democrat. I mean, it could have been. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt, but you had people going, really? Really? So election day is election day. If we could simplify it like it always was, nobody's going to accuse anybody of cheating. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, don't go away. Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Dolly Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. So some of you have parents that are aging not very well, and you're worried about their driving abilities. And you thought the DMV or their doctor would be the ones to do the dirty work, and they're not. And you're like, I got to make the judgment call. And you don't want to. Right? You grew up, right, having a strained relationship with your parents, maybe. Maybe it was a wonderful relationship, but usually as kids or teenagers, it strains. And then all of a sudden, as an adult, you start to have a better relationship with the parents because they can't hit you with the belt. They can't, they don't have as much control. So now you start to be a more one-on-one. Some of you have good relationships with your parents. And then now all of a sudden, you have to be in this position of I'm taking the car away. Now, how did you feel when they wouldn't let you take the car? You hated them. You don't want to be hated. You know how that feels. And it's not that you're grounding them from Saturday night because you failed a test. This is you're taking the car keys away for good. And your parent, your senior parent, is not going to be happy. They are not going to like it. How do you do it? Do you do it? Now, I had many patients who were weenies, and so they would come to me. And they're like, I don't want my mom to drive. I don't want my dad to drive. Do something. And I'm like, why not? Tell me what's going on. Because it's not just about taking away the keys. Are they having dementia? Are they having macular degeneration? Is it cataracts? Are they have a hearing issue? As a doctor, I need to know so I could get that addressed. And so they would explain to me. And then for me, at the risk of the patient getting mad, all right, I would say, all right, I'm going to go check your eyes. Let's go to the eye chart. I'm going to just do a quick hearing check on you, part of your physical, part of this. And then I'm going to say, I'm nervous that you are going to be at higher risk of an accident or, inadvertently not see or hear something. How's your driving at night? Oh, I don't drive at night. I can't drive at night. Okay. And that happens. Driving at night is harder. All right. Would you like to maybe see an eye doctor to look at if this is something that's temporary or could be fixed? And so even though I might not be ripping away the driver's license, you have to if they're seizing or things like that. But if I, I'm not the ophthalmologist, I'm not that, let's get this looked at, because I want to make sure you could pass your next driving test or your next DMV check. 99.99999% of the patients agreed to it. They went to the eye doctor. They went and got their hearing tested. I don't know. I had to wait with people. I just did. And then that doctor would be like, oh, hell no, you're not driving. You can't drive. With one of my family members, it was the eye doctor that said, no, you're not driving anymore. So one thing you could do is get the doctor involved. Now, that was pre-Obamacare. That was when you had a doctor and you saw that doctor and that doctor saw your whole family. That's what we family doctors trained for, where we knew everything that was going on with your family. I mean, not Real Housewives, sort of everything. But we knew, your mom had that stroke. How's she doing? I know it's been a couple years. Your dad had prostate cancer. How did that go? How's the treatment going? And so you had a relationship with everybody. So when they said, I'm a little worried about them driving, okay, bring them in. Let's take a look at that. Because, my job is also public safety. My job is public health. But now, if you're like, I don't know who my mom's doctor is. It's never the same person. I don't know who my dad sees. They don't go to the doctor. They just use telemedicine. Then it's going to be a little challenging. But if you are one of the fortunate ones where you actually have a primary care provider that you can see, then I think that's you could always start there. Next is share the hate. Okay? If you have brothers and sisters, get them in the room too. And so this way it's not all you. Because listen, your brothers and sisters are going to do good cop, bad cop. They're going to do that because they have been vying for the parents' attention or to hide from the parents' wrath, the eye of Mordor here. And so they might be like, if you have a problem with it, you say something. And you're like, you're such a weenie. So try to get them all involved so you could share the hate. And then if not, you'll have to bite the bullet and do it. Because if your family member gets into an accident, kills themselves, or kills, I apologize, my phone's going off, or kills somebody else, you're not going to be able to live with yourself. And so which would you rather have? Your family member upset with you for a week or two? And it will be about a week or two. It won't be longer. Because hopefully within that time, you'll have that extra support, the doctor, whoever, coming out saying, yeah, this is probably the best move. Also, there's other options. Now you could get an Uber or a Lyft to take your family member where they want to go. There's also a lot of city options now where they have options where they could go and help a senior get to the grocery store. There's actually shopping and where stores will deliver food, pharmacies are delivering, and then you could also be there. So when you have that conversation, the first thing that older person is going to think, the first thing that senior is going to think is that you think they're incompetent. You think they're old. You think they're about to die. So you need to immediately change that conversation. You won't be able to fix their thinking right away, but you need to address it in different ways. Now, one other way you could do, and I'm not saying to lie, is go look at the cost and say, I don't think we can afford the car anymore and the gas. There's a cheaper way that we could do this. I did the calculation. If you use Uber or Lyft or delivery, you're going to be saving a lot of money. But I need a car. Because remember, baby boomers and the traditionalists, the older individuals, they're going to be like, I need a car. I get that. But you could also work it the financial route where it's expensive or or the car repairs or whatever. You could also pretend the car got stolen. Okay, that's another possibility. The car's gone. Someone stole your car. Well, we don't have money to get you a new one. That's last resort. But I think honesty is the best policy. And say, look, you could hurt somebody. You could hurt yourself. All right? I'm even having issues driving at night. And I'm starting to drive less. That's just the way things go. You can still be on this earth another 30, 40 years, but we're going to now I want to keep you on this earth another 30, 40 years. But you get into a car accident is not going to allow that to happen. All right. I see you having a long life with your grandchildren and later great-grandchildren. This is part of those processes. You might also have to get a hearing aid. You might also need to get your glasses rechecked. We might also need to put some bars in the bathroom. But we are making these moves to allow you to still be active. Oh, I'm going to be stuck at home. I'm going to be stuck at home. No, you're not. This is how we're going to do it. Anytime you want to go, this is who you call, and that's how you get a ride. You could go anywhere in the city you want. Just set it up like this, and you're going to have now the extra money to do that. And so it's gonna be a little bit of a fight, but you have to just keep telling them, I love you. I love you, and this is the best thing for you. No, you're trying to get me back because I was mean to you, and I didn't let you date Dirk. And you reminded me about that. Yeah, I could have been with Dirk. Huh. Glad you reminded me. No, but they're going to say everything, and they're going to be mad. It's not going to be permanent. Well, they took away the car. She took away the car. She did this to me. She did this. That's abusive. Listen, you have to do what's best for them. All right? And it's not easy. But like I said, worst case scenario, cars just goes missing. And you say, yeah, we're going to report it to the police. Oh, they can't find it. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, don't go away.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did, and just maybe someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
Dr. Dolly Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Doc Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. So, I'm in Las Vegas. I basically have grown up in Las Vegas. I was born in LA, Southern California. By the time I was 6 years old, I guess my parents couldn't really afford to still live there, and it was cheaper for them to come to Arizona. So they came to Arizona, but my dad gambled a lot. Bless his soul. And so we moved back and forth between Arizona and Las Vegas. So I grew up in both places. Ended up going to 12 schools. But I got to see a lot of Vegas in the 80s. I got to see a lot of Vegas in the 90s. I went to UNLV Then I went to Reno for medical school, did my last year at UCLA, then trained at Vegas residency. So I've basically kept coming back to Las Vegas. So I've been able to see how Las Vegas has been in terms of prices. And I think it's a fabulous city. I think it is a fantastic city to come and visit. I think it's amazing. What is not amazing and what has made me mad and a lot of people mad are the prices. It's getting ridiculous. And you're seeing some tourists show how it costs $53 for a pizza. Let me see how big this pizza was. Hold on a second, because I want to say it was at Fontainebleau. According to, hold on a second, KSNV, Las Vegas. They said that, at Bonanno's New York Pizzeria, a pepperoni pizza was $51.95 for a 20-inch pie. $51. Now, mind you, I mean, you could feed a bunch of people with that, but that's kind of a lot. You know, and then I guess Planet Hollywood pizza is $47.99. I mean, that's just pizza because people are ordering pizza to be cheap. We went with my buddy to the Sebastian Maniscalco comedy show. And the tickets were pretty pricey, but I was really, really happy because when we got there and we sat down, we were kind of in the orchestra seats, but in the back. And then the maitre d' said, come with me. And then he got us into I don't know how or why, but it was really cool and thanked him and sat us in the fourth row. So I don't mind what I paid for tickets because we got good seats. So my friend's like, I got drinks. And I go, we'll get the next round. All right. Yeah, I don't want you buying drinks the whole time. Well, whatever. So when we're up there buying drinks, bartender was cool. But he's like, do you want an extra shot? Do you want a double shot? Can I bartended? And I should have understood the scam. I mean, it's because of what they charge extra per shot. But I was so busy talking to the bartender and I was watching what he was doing because I miss bartending, whatever. And so my friend's like, absolutely, put an extra shot, whatever. Okay, well, every time they do that, that adds money. So for our 3 drinks before tip, $136. And it wasn't really that many. I got the punch, the rum punch, and then they just got 1 drink that might have had an extra shot. $136, which, by the way, is cheaper than what a lot of people are saying that they're paying. And then on top of that, your tip, you're going to pay about, $26 a tip. You're paying over $150 for 3 drinks. Now, my drink was good, but, I mean, $150? I mean, that's a very expensive dinner for 4. And you're just doing that for a drink out the gate. Sorry, I can't snap that well. Shows are expensive. So the rooms, it's getting pricey. And so what I tell people to do is, okay, when I lived in Vegas, it's when the Running Rebels were in the Final Four, March Madness and all that. And so what I did is I waited until, and I don't know if they still have a lot of these, but I waited to eat until 11 p.m. Now, not that that's the healthiest thing, but that's when you got the $1.99 breakfast buffets. Or you got and so things were cheap. And now they don't really do that much. They don't have the cheaper food. But I used to wait till 11 o'clock at night to eat. I was skinny. And it wasn't the healthiest thing to do. But, you used to be able to do blue light specials or something like that, or the lunch. Eat the lunch buffet and then just a small dinner because the lunch buffet is cheaper. Now they don't have buffets. So what ended up happening is people are just avoiding the Strip. They're just avoiding Las Vegas altogether. Not cool. And so one time I wanted to go with my son to Golden Knights game. And I'm like, well, let me get you food at the New York. And he's like, no, it's too expensive there. We're going to hit the food court. I go, yeah, but these food courts are, no. There's a food court where the price is a lot more reasonable. Or we're going to eat 1 block away. And 1 block away, the food is half price. So what you might need to do, and I get it, we have some of the most amazing restaurants. I mean, we have Michelin star restaurants, and we got Wolfgang Puck and Gordon Ramsay and Bobby Flay and all. I mean, we got whatever. But it's just, you're just spending too much money. And we used to worry, oh my God, people are going to lose their money gambling. They're going to be depressed. People are depressed because they went out to dinner. And then they go and then they badmouth their beautiful city. I don't want you to badmouth their beautiful city just because some of these places are scammy and they're charging you too much. You could have a beautiful vacation, a beautiful trip. One thing I used to do, which I recommended to you guys if you wanted to do, is birthday party places. Used to be pretty expensive. Where, for a couple hours for them to bounce around in some of these bouncy places or Chuck E. Cheese or whatever, you're spending a lot of money. And so my hairdresser at the time, she had told me she rents a room, gets a room in one of the hotels. She invites the kids over. She gets the adjoining room. They watch movies. She brings in food from Sam's Club. They watch movies, and then the next day they hit the pool. And that birthday party was cheaper than some of these other places. And so one thing that I do recommend is if you do get a good rate on a hotel, and maybe also travel midweek instead of weekend because the prices get ridiculous, but avoid holiday weekends and things like that. But if you could get a good rate on a hotel and then bring food in, they're not going to stop you if you do your takeout and bring food in. And if you are able to go one block away, you're going to be able to get food half price, right? Bring it in. Now you can have your room service. And again, I don't want people to I don't want to pull away from the money that the casinos can get, but I'm sorry. I don't want my listeners spending $50 for a drink or $50 for pizza. That's not cool. And Vegas used to be a place where the families could go and enjoy themselves. And it's not just about the gambling. We got amazing shows. Amazing shows. We have such talent. I got to see, my friend gave me tickets to Mariah Carey's Christmas show a couple years back. That was awesome. I mean, the talent that we have here. I got to see Celine Dion. I got to see Elton John. Wow, the talent we have. I want you to enjoy that. But if you are going to go broke because you're trying to get a drink or food, or you're going to get kicked out because you're trying to smuggle in the drinks. I mean, my sons are like, well, you got to pregame, Mom. You have to pregame before you go. Now, I'm too old to pregame. I don't want alcohol in my system. But that's what people are doing. They're doing their cheaper alcohol pre, because when they go out, they just can't afford it. So, do what the young people do and figure out how to do things so that you don't get stuck with the high prices. And I got to tell you, if Vegas is seeing people like, no, I don't want to pay that. I don't want to. By the way, another trick that the bartenders do is they don't tell you what the cost is. I mean, all of our jaws dropped when we heard that it was $136 for 3 drinks. And my friend was so gracious. I was like, you don't have to pay for this. No, but he was so cool. But the drinks are already made. So now you're like, I can't afford that. Now I know some of you are like, but Dr. Dahlia, don't you get free drinks when you gamble? Not at the shows. Now, if you are playing a slot machine at the bar, then the drink is free, but only certain drinks. Right? And I don't want you to drink alcohol. But if that's a way of getting it cheap. But the problem is, if you're like, well, I'm just going to sit and play 1 quarter, it takes an hour for the cocktail server to come back. That doesn't work. Again, avoiding alcohol is the best thing to do, and it's the cheapest. Drink water. But there's ways to enjoy Vegas, and I would say get a great room, bring the food in, enjoy the pool. You'll be able to save money. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA-1. That's 800-JBS-USA-1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA-1 today.